Texas State Representative Ann Johnson is on the line with us now. Representative, thank you for speaking with us today.
Of course. Thank you for having me, and thank you for paying attention to what's happening.
I hear you're in Chicago.
I think the whole nation is paying attention to what's going on right now, which is probably a lot more attention than you ever expected.
I am grateful that the nation is paying attention, because what Texas Republicans are trying to do in stealing 5 seats for this next election cycle, because Trump is afraid of voters in November of 2026. It is not just a Texas issue. It is a national issue, and I'm glad people are seeing it.
I do want to know, and we'll get into all of that in a minute. I am curious about your reaction to the letter that Greg Abbott sent out yesterday, August 3rd, in which he cited a few different legal codes, Texas Attorney General opinions, articles of the Texas Constitution. Your reaction to the whole missive from the governor?
Well, I think it shows how scared they are. And I realize that they think that threatening works. And the reason we know they think threatening works is because it's worked for them. When Donald Trump has threatened that, hey, guys, if you don't give me vouchers, I will endorse against you in the primary, they all rolled over and gave it to him, even though I know they didn't want to. Mm-hmm. When Donald Trump has now threatened that if you don't recarve up your seats midway through a decade, which is actually a violation of the Texas Constitution, because the Texas Constitution says we do redistricting every 10 years. And so if they're willing to go against the Texas Constitution, go against the voters of Texas to serve the interest of Trump, again, because he's threatening, if you don't, they'll primary you and you'll lose your seat.
Representative,
so that's the threat they're making to us. They think that they can scare us by saying, I'll take away your seat, so you need to just sit here and be quiet and let us do this thing. Well,
Representative Johnson, I want to point out you're a lawyer, and so I'm interested in your legal view on what's going on here, and also what the Attorney General's opinion may or may not be, and what effect it may or may not play.
I mean, I don't think this is about the legal setting. I think it's about the threat. I think it's about the harassment of them. Obviously, I know that we stand on firm ground.
Okay.
The Texas Constitution also says that we have the right to quorum break. Taking our opposition as the minority party, the fact that we are not there, it is protected by our founding fathers that says this is the tool that is available for the minority party when the minority knows that the majority has gone off the rails and is not serving the interests of the people. The founding fathers put this in place for us, and so we are absolutely on the right ground to use this in this extraordinary moment. And let me tell you, this is an extraordinary act. It is an extraordinary act, and I do not take it lightly. Mm-hmm. But it is necessary in this moment because Texas Republicans are doing something for Trump that not even Georgia would do. So don't forget, when Trump called Georgia Republicans and said, hey, boys, I need you to find me 11,000 votes, they stood up and said, no, sir, we're not doing that. That's not the way we play this game. But when Trump called Texas Republicans and said, hey, boys, I need you to find me 5 seats because I'm afraid of the outcome in the next election cycle, they basically said, does July work for you? So in a month where we should have been talking about a devastating impact in Kerrville, and we should have been advocating for solutions for real Texas problems, they did one bill. We've been there for 2 weeks. They've brought forth one bill. The only bill they have had any interest in hearing is redistricting. That is wrong.
Representative Johnson, can you elaborate and tell us a little bit about how this plan to go to Chicago came up?
Well, I'm a member of the House caucus, and when the call came and said the bill is being put on the floor, and this is the tool that we have available to us, and the only tool at this point, because Republicans are not listening to the will of the voters, I answered that call with my other colleagues. And I will tell you that our Democratic leadership has been the one to put things together. We have trusted our leaders in this moment, and we are following them in unison with them, recognizing that this is an extraordinary act to, again, get more than 50 of our Democratic colleagues to not be available for quorum today at 3 o'clock. And so I think everybody is going to be watching. They're going to see how many people are in the seats. And I will tell you, I am disappointed that my colleagues are effectively asking, come sit in your seat at 3 o'clock and let us ram this through.
And are you And are you concerned at all about being arrested or thrown out of the Texas legislature?
Well, of course, that's the threat that they're making. And I think that should sound a lot of red alarms for a lot of folks. As I said, the founding fathers put in place in the Texas Constitution that quorum break is an appropriate step to advocate the voice of the minority party. The idea that they're saying we are now going to find some allegation or some way to come and arrest you, this is other foreign dictator country stuff. The idea that you arrest your political opposition because you don't like the fact that they're actually standing up for their people or that they're voicing opposition, that's not American. And so I understand they're making that threat. I get it. I know what their intention is, but we need each and every person to realize this is not normal. Mid-decade redistricting's not normal, and the threat to arrest your political opposition, the party of opposition voice, that is not normal.
I'm going to put some words in the mouth of the governor here that he hasn't said, at least that I'm not seeing in the letter, but almost calling dereliction of duty, that by leaving and breaking quorum, you are not doing the job that you were elected and sworn in to actually do. How do you address that?
Absolutely false. This is exactly what the tool of quorum break is there for, is to advocate for our group. Let me tell you what abandonment is. Abandonment is leaving for Cancun when you have a deadly freeze. Abandonment is cutting health care when you have the highest rate of uninsured children in the nation. Abandonment is giving vouchers and more money to private institutions when your public education system is toward the bottom of the barrel nationally. Abandonment is hearing the victims from Kerrville and not offering a bill at that moment in crisis and pushing through a redistricting plan. I mean, within days, because you want to get this sucker to the floor because you have to satisfy the interest of Trump. That's abandoning the people of Texas, not this act. This act is the most public service-oriented thing that can be done in this moment.
Speaking of abandonment, do you feel abandoned by the House Speaker that the Democrats worked to elect?
I mean, the Speaker is the Speaker, and we elected him. But in this moment, we are seeing that this is a true partisan divide. And I would caution everybody, this is intended to drive a deeper and deeper wedge, a greater frustration among us as Texans. That's what this is intended to do. And it's intended for people to feel hopeless and to feel like, why show up and vote if they can just decide that mid-decade that they want to come take my congressional district and my member that I have a relationship with and now carve up my communities because it serves them being able to guarantee that a Republican's going to be elected. This is the division. And so one of the things that we have advocated for, and I've advocated for, is an independent commission to redraw the line. You know what? Get rid of the partisanship. Let the voters pick. Let the voters draw. And then let's go to the ballot box every November of every odd year, or even year, and let's fight it out fairly. And so I'm happy if we can get away from the political partisan extremism and get back to the independence and bringing people together, not further dividing us.
Talk to me a little bit about the concept of how long can this go on? Eventually you'll return to the state. You're actually incurring a $500 a day fine for each member that is out of state or out of quorum. My question is, the governor can keep calling special sessions all the way for the next year and a half until the next session convenes. What can you do? How long can this last? And by staying out, are you just pausing the inevitable?
I mean, we're Texans, and so if you think about in football, when the other side is first and goal at the one, you don't pull your defense. You play, and you play every play, and you battle out what you can. And right now, the play before us is this special session. There were things that we needed to talk about on flood relief and others, but they decided that all they wanted to talk about was redistricting. And so our goal is to defeat this call, this special session, and then everything resets. And again, the governor decides what's important. Is it important to bring us back to talk about policies that average Texans care about, or is it only important to bring us back to do this redistricting? I don't know anybody that's asking for this except for Trump. And y'all probably saw the hearings, and you saw that I think about 99% of the people that came to testify said they have no interest in doing this. This only serves one purpose in Trump. And so it's important to think about who you elect as governor, because only the governor can call us back for special session. Only the governor gets to decide what's important to you. And now you know who Abbott serves. It's not the people of Texas. It's Donald Trump. And there's a reason that we say don't mess with Texas, and it's about time we start electing people who will actually mean it.
We have heard a lot of the Democrats' point of view on this, where they stand on it. I'm curious, and I don't know if you're the right person to ask this, but I'm trying to understand this better. Whenever we talk about why the Republicans are doing this, when we hear from Democrats, we hear it's because the president wants it, because the president wants those seats. What is the Republican talking point about why this is so important? I don't know that I've clearly heard that.
Well, it makes no sense because right now there is a lawsuit with regard to the lines that they put in place, of which they claim they did not improperly gerrymander based on race. And yet now Trump and the Department of Justice has issued a letter claiming this ruse that they have redistricted based on race, and now they need to change it. So they don't even know what they're arguing for. It makes no legal sense. What we do know is that Trump got his big, ugly bill passed by one vote. We do know this is not a popular policy, and we know that he wants to keep the Senate and the House and maintain this power over the entire nation. But he's afraid of voters in the next election, that they will not give him the slim, narrow margin of power that he has right now in the House. And so he has said, just do a simple redraw, go pluck me 5 seats out of Texas, and that would solve his problem. That is why I am floored that Texas Republicans don't have the ability to tell him no and defend the interest of our state over his personal interest.
Representative Johnson, since arriving in Chicago, have you heard from any other Republican legislators besides Governor Abbott and Attorney General Paxton?
Of course. And I am one of the folks that is recognized as working across the aisle. And I have always worked across the aisle, and I have always been willing to work across the aisle. But there is a line in the sand. And the line in the sand is I'm being asked to show up today at 3 o'clock, either threat of losing my vice chairmanship or a fine that's being allocated or the threat of arrest. And I'm being told personally, if you just show up today at 3 o'clock and sit in that chair and let us pass what we want, and you can keep yours. If I sit there and shut up, it shuts up every voter in Texas. And so that's the line. No, this is not something where I will simply sit there and let you silence the voice of countless Texas voters, which is going to ripple and have a ripple impact across the nation, to tell people that their vote doesn't matter, their voice doesn't matter, because when the party in power is afraid they're going to lose it, they can just break the Texas Constitution, redraw the lines, reshuffle the deck, pick your elected officials, and ensure that they stay in power. That is wrong.
When is it going to be safe for you to come back? By safe, I mean you could come back and not have to deal with that vote.
Again, it's up to Governor Abbott.
Yeah.
Who do we serve? Does he want us to come back and debate issues that Texans actually care about? And look, we debate policy issues all the time. We debate women's health care, public education, and Republicans have run Texas for 30 years, and they usually get their way. This is not a policy debate. This is not a discussion of how you feel about THC or weed or anything else. This is breaking the fundamental institution and stealing 5 congressional seats because the head of your party asked you to do it. This is so beyond the pale of what we should find acceptable that everybody, and look, I have lots of folks reaching out to me, many of which are Republicans, saying thank you. People are tired of Texas not standing up against Trump and the extremism that he is infiltrating on all of us.
Representative, quickly before we run out of time, I'm just curious, you talk about being bipartisan, working across the aisle, talking with your colleagues. Have you heard from any elected Republicans that are saying, we're with you on this, we could be swayed not to vote for the maps?
I don't, unfortunately, my colleagues have advocated and pushed for that bill and put it on for today.
So no chance of any wavering there?
I mean, again, I think our job as the minority party is to voice the interest of not only the minority, but what you're seeing nationwide is clearly an interest in trying to get back to some normalcy, to not allow Trump to cheat before the next election cycle and steal 5 seats for his own benefit. We know that folks really don't want to do this. And so it will be up to Republicans to decide that they finally want to stand up and Trump and say, you know what, this just doesn't work for us. We can't do it. And so we'll see what happens from here. It's day by day.
State House Representative for District 134, Ann Johnson. Representative Johnson, thank you for joining us today on Hello Houston.
Yep. I appreciate your passion.
And courage is contagious, so it is time for us to pass it on. Thank you.